Trump, not happy, I'm sure, with the new ruling from, again, immigration. The whole thing with immigration. This is the battle that he's both winning and frustrated with the most. He won at the border. I mean, I think you can't deny that he won at the border, but in some cases he's losing in the courtroom.
The legal premise underlying the deportations has been the president's determination that the U.S. has been invaded by the Tren de Aragua gang. But Brownsville-based federal judge Fernando Rodriguez says dictionary definitions and the historical record show that Trump's interpretation has exceeded the scope of the 1798 law. Rodriguez, who was appointed by President Trump and has been on the bench since 2018, says the White House cannot rely on the Alien Enemies Act to deport alleged members of the gang.
No way. So is he a rogue judge? But he was appointed by Trump. See, that's just it. How do you wrap your head around that one? You're appointed by Trump, and they're interpreting the law. That's what they're there for. And they're saying this is not the same. We're not at war with Tren de Agua or MS-13 is, I think, what he's trying to rule.
And since Congress has forgotten how to declare war, then we never will be, and the issue is going to remain.
Well, the thing about Congress is do everything you possibly can to never be on the record for anything. That's the best way to continue.
Do everything you possibly can to do nothing at all.
Yeah, that's it. So now this will be appealed because that's what we do. Everything's about an appeal because the whole goal is to get it to the Supreme Court, let them decide. Or hope that they decide, because remember, like yesterday, SCOTUS was talking about the church schools.
Yes.
And it's only 8 judges that are ruling there.
Yeah, because Justice Amy Coney Barrett is friends with a Notre Dame professor who is advising the Oklahoma school in question.
Yeah, so if it's 4-4, it goes down to the lower court's ruling, and that's the one that counts.
That's the one that'll stand.
The lower court's ruling that if it's only 8, if it's 4-4, that lower ruling stands.
Yeah, that's basically the Supreme Court's voice at that point.
Right.
So, and I still think it's going to be 5-3, 6-2. Because they're not talking, and it's funny, I was watching a bunch of people yesterday talk about the SCOTUS, because this is going to change education in a major way. And they're not saying only Catholic schools. They're saying any school, right? Any school, religious school, should be able to benefit in this way. So, and everybody thinks just because the Catholics brought it, and they've got bigger things because they got to figure out what they're going to do with their Pope. Just because they brought it doesn't mean that it couldn't be another, if you had a Mormon school, if you had a, Buddhist.
Muslim.
Yeah. And I know there's a big thing in Texas right now. There's a battle going on in Texas over some areas. They want to have a place called Epic City. Have you seen this? So Epic City is going to be this huge, massive complex where they're going to have tons of homes and all this stuff, but it's only going to be for Muslims. I mean, anybody could live there, but it's going to be basically, an area for Muslims, and they're fighting that, saying there's no way because you guys are going to bring Sharia law, and that's a battle there that's going on. But yeah, it could be a Muslim school. But I mean, this does change education if this ends up being, heading in that direction. And and you can tell by the way that they're asking questions where it's going. The thing is, though, usually you had at least 5 conservatives. Now you really only have 4. And of that, Justice Roberts is interesting because he cares about the court and its reputation. So a lot of times he doesn't like to get involved in rulings, especially if there's a lower court or there's something in the past that has happened. That's what makes him, that's why everybody on the right hates him, because he doesn't get into some of this stuff, which is welcome to the world that we live in now. Nobody wants to be on record for anything.